Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with the Access Arts Live weekly live stream roundup of chamber music and contemporary chamber music live streams. We have a terrific lineup for you this week, more than a dozen live streams for me to tell you about. I don't know how I'm going to get to them all. Already today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon European time, Wigmore Hall launched its 2026-2027 season, at least telling you about what they're going to be doing with musical selections by soprano Marianne Krebasa, accompanied by top piano accompanist Joseph Middleton, and music also by the Cox Quartet. And then an hour after that, at 3 o'clock European time, St. Mary's Perivale was live streaming the Belgian-British pianist Nicolas Absalom playing Schubert, Chopin, and Ravel, and it just gets better from there. So let's move on right away to the first of this week's offerings. Coming to you, and I want to get this right, because it was a last-minute change in this timing. Which is the first one? Here's the first one. There you go. Okay. All right. The North-South Chamber Orchestra of New York City celebrates spring with a concert featuring 3 major ensemble works composed specifically for the group and premiered in previous seasons. These will be music by the ensemble founder and director Mark Lifshitz, and by Daniel Kestner and Robert Martin. All of this live stream free of charge on YouTube. I don't know a lot about the North-South Chamber Orchestra. Surprisingly, they've been around since 1980. They also do recordings. They're very much a New York City phenomenon. They have performed over 750 new works by different composers from every corner of the world, we're told. They have upcoming, they're active, they have upcoming a Cinco de Mayo concert in early May, then Aurelia de la Vega concert later in May, then a season finale. So they're active all over the place. The piece they're playing by Daniel Kestner is Chamber Concerto No. 4. Lifshitz's Yellow Ribbons No. 42, and Robert Mountain's They Will Take My Island. That will be at 7 o'clock in the evening today, Tuesday, March 24th in New York City, 4 o'clock in the afternoon in LA, midnight here in Europe, I think. Yes, and 10 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning, down under in Australia. And we move along. And yes, those are the pictures. That's Lifshitz on the left, and Martin in the middle, and Kestner on the right, if I'm not mistaken. How do you keep novel musical works from disappearing? Well, one way is to do what pianist Carlos Galán and his Cosmos Group 21 will do Wednesday, March 25th in a March Vivo live stream. They'll be playing the best pieces out of over 500 premieres that they have played in the past 4 decades. That'll be at 6 in the evening European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 o'clock on the West Coast. This is part of a series ongoing with March Vivo called Noah's Ark, in which what they're trying to do is pick out contemporary Spanish musical works out of all of the flood of it, to normalize, as they say, their presence in the concert hall and get them taught in music history books. So that's, and Cosmos 21 has been around since 1988 and have premiered over 480 works specifically dedicated to their group. They've played more than 200 Spanish and European composers. They have 22 albums out. So I can give you some of the pieces they'll be doing as a They'll be doing Joseph Soler's Quartet, Carles Cruz de Castro, Gomera Morse Code, Cosmogony by Gabriel Fernandez Alves, Manuel Angulo's Hyperbaton or Hyperbaton, if it's a Spanish pronunciation, Rafael Diaz Garcia's Flamenco Tango, and a piece by Carlos Galán himself called Dark Night, Opus 58, Material Music 18, etc., etc. If you want to know all about what they think are the best pieces of contemporary Spanish classical music to be remembered, this is your chance. That's not all on Wednesday, though. There's more coming along on Wednesday for you to enjoy, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Wednesday, March 25th, the spellbinding pianist Alexi Kenney returns to 92 NY with top violinist Janice Carissa along with him to perform a much anticipated program of works for violin and piano by Inti Figis Vizueta, Piazzolla, Sibelius, Michi Wianco, Schnitke, and Benjamin Britten. That's at New York. The 92 NY time is usually 7:30 in the evening in New York City, 4:30 in LA, half past midnight here in Paris, France, where I am. Eat your heart out. 10:30 in the morning, Thursday morning down under in Australia. It is not free of charge. It is $25 to enjoy one of these live streams. I'll try to give you the link to the program notes, but you may have to go to the 92 NY page to get them because we have so many performances to tell you about that we are limited in how much text we can put up. Anyway, the spellbinding quote referring to this pianist Alexi Kenney comes from the New York Times, and he did his last recital at 92 NY was a New York Times critics pick on top of that. So we're told this will be this goes from the spiky to the sublime to the throbbing rhythms of Nuevo Tango. They'll be doing Inti Figis Vizueta's Earthmaker, Piazzolla's Le Grand Tango, arranged by Gubbedolina, Sibelius's 5 pieces for violin and piano, Michi Wianco's new work for violin and piano, Schnitke's Violin Sonata No. 1, and they'll finish up with Benjamin Britten's Suite for violin and piano, Opus 6. Enjoy. And then in the next selection this week, which will also be Thursday, we're back to Spanish music again, but not contemporary Spanish music, more very classical, all the way to the Baroque period Spanish music, coming from Midtown Concerts in their weekly Thursday afternoon live stream. If you're curious to hear what cosmopolitan 18th century musicians were likely to play in the Spanish Empire, well, Passiflora Musica Ensemble will be performing a sampler of this kind of music from the Salterio repertoire, from the earliest surviving piece for Salterio by Vivaldi, to fandangos and other popular Spanish music from the 18th century to the first decades of the 19th century. This is a Midtown concert live stream. That's their usual time, 1:15 p.m. Thursday afternoon in New York City, 10:15 on the West Coast, and 7:15 in the evening here in Europe. This is a group led by Mark Armitano Domingo, who plays the Baroque Salterio, Dusan Ballarin on Baroque guitar and theorbo, which is another Baroque instrument, which you early music people know of, Lydia Becker on the violin, Jimmy Dronkzak on the viola and the violin, and Clara Abel on the cello. The Salterio is a type of, we're told, chromatic psaltery that can be played with little mallets or by plucking. And it was a favorite in the 1700s, the 18th century, by high society and court musicians in places like Italy, Spain, Latin America, the whole Latin Empire kind of thing. So, and this ensemble, this is what they specialize in. They specialize in programs of music everything from solos for Salterio and Baroque guitar to larger scale pieces, which showcase the Salterio. So they really know what they're going to be playing, and Midtown concerts are always top quality. Enjoy this. And we keep moving along, and I'm trying to watch the time because there's so much to tell you about. If you do happen to be watching, whatever, we are on 5 different platforms as we're live streaming. We are on Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and Instagram now. And so I can see when there are people logging on to watch, but I don't know who you are or where you are unless you post something. And then Restream supposedly is going to show me in the Restream chat exactly who you are and where you are. So I will open that box, the chat box now, to see. Hey, it's Cine de Marian. So falo Português. I think that means something about that she speaks, that he or she speaks Portuguese, but I don't at all. but welcome to the live stream there. And anybody else that cares to signal your presence, you are most welcome. Let me keep moving along here because I try to get all this done in a half hour. What happens when classical wind instruments meet Buster Keaton, the dramatic, the comedic silent film star? Well, the Windscape Wind Quintet, flute, oboe, clarinet, bassoon, and French horn shows you this Thursday, March 26th, in a live stream concert at the Manhattan School of Music, playing selected works by Leonard Bernstein first, and then premiering Stephen Prutzman's film score to Buster Keaton's Steamboat Bill Jr. while the comedic film is playing. Buster Keaton was a big slapstick comic artist in silent movies in the 1920s. So that's Tara Helen O'Connor on the flute, Keisuke Ikuma on the oboe, Alan R.K. on the clarinet, Frank Morelli on the bassoon, and David Jolly on the French horn. So it's a 1928 film by Buster Keaton. This group, the Windscape Wind Quintet, they've been around since 1994. So 30 years now, something like that. And they're all top woodwind soloists. They're artists in residence at the Manhattan School of Music. And so that's why they very often are doing interesting programs like this to present. So this is a new combination, I'm sure. A woodwind quintet and a Buster Keaton movie. Check it out. But we're not done. There's more on Thursday in terms of completely new music. And again, it's with brass, another very interesting brass combination, though. They're called the Westerlies. Composer Bill Frisell turned over his latest never-heard-before compositions to the unique Westerly Brass Quartet, 2 trumpets and 2 trombones, which they will be playing in a Roulette Intermedium live stream Thursday, March 29th, to celebrate their new album of some of this music called Have You Heard? The Music of Bill Frisell. Album 1. That'll be at 8 in the evening in New York City. So 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and 11 o'clock Friday morning down under. They're a Grammy-nominated brass quartet, but it's an unusual quartet. It's Riley Mulherkey on the trumpet and Chloe Rowlands also on the trumpet. And then the trombonists are Andy Clausen and Addison Mae Saxon. I've never heard of a 2-trumpet, 2-trombone quartet before, but this is one. The New York Times calls them an arty quartet, mixing ideas from jazz, new classical, and Appalachian folk. Okay. And they've played everywhere from Carnegie Hall to Coachella and on NPR Music. So another unique performance being live streamed to you free of charge. You know, people pay $40, $50, $60 to attend some of these concerts in person. You get them free of charge online. I don't know why you wouldn't tune in. Oh, by the way, they have They have 10 critically acclaimed albums out over the years. Then we move on to Friday, and we have a little less of this cascade of all this new music and then early music. And very often the same people are interested in both. The Vera Music Fund promotes and live streams for global audiences yet 2 more up-and-coming Ukrainian musicians this Friday, March 27th. It's violinist Kirilo Bondar and pianist Denis Kashuba. They'll be playing Beethoven's Violin Sonata No. 4 for piano and violin in A minor, Opus 23. That was one that Beethoven dedicated to a patron, Count Moritz von Fries. That will be at 6 o'clock in European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, 10 in the morning on the West Coast. The Vera Music Fund, what they do is on a regular basis promote the careers of these Ukrainian musicians who are living under fire, literally. So it's worth tuning into it. And if you want more information about them, if you follow that YouTube link, you can get to the Vera Music Fund page where they have biographies of many of these musicians. But that's not all for Friday. There's more live streaming going on Friday too, especially if you like choral music, which I'm about to tell you about. There's just so much. I don't know how to get to all of it. And here's the next one. If you're a choral music lover, it may not get better for you than the New College Oxford's Choir, which will be live streamed on the St. Thomas Church New York City series Friday, March 27th. They'll be singing works by Palestrina, William Byrd, Orlando Gibbons, Heinrich Schütz, and much, much more. It's a long list of pieces they'll be doing. I'll tell you a little bit more about them. That's at 7:30 in the evening, New York time, 4:30 in the afternoon in LA, midnight here in Europe, and 10:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, down in Sydney, Australia. They'll start out with Laudate Pueri Dominum by Palestrina. When I was a boy, I sang in a choir. We sang the Palestrina's Mass was sort of our basic workhorse. When you needed to pull a Mass out, you didn't have time to learn a new one. O Lord, Make Thy Servant by William Byrd. A couple pieces by Orlando Gibbons. Bach's Kom Jesu Kom, BWV 229. And pieces by Brahms, Matthew Martin, Carenza Briggs, Benjamin Britten, Nico Muhly, Rian Samuel. And they'll finish off with the Jubilate in E-flat by Benjamin Britten. Conductor is Robert Quinney. I'm sure it's I have not heard this choir sing, but I'm sure it's top of the line. It's New College, Oxford. And then we're on to Saturday night. As this weekend unfolds. So much going on of so many different kinds. Okay. Saturday night in Washington, D.C., the Millennium Stage at the Trump Kennedy Center live streams the Airmen of Note, aka the United States Air Force Band, performing its own brand of big band jazz, as it's been doing to audiences from around the world for many decades. I think they started forming all these Air Force bands back in the early 1940s when the Air Force was just being created. And the buildup to World War II was coming. They proposed to use music to bridge cultural, linguistic, and socioeconomic differences and advance international relationships. I don't know how anyone can argue with that. And these are top musicians. They've done recordings with people like Dizzy Gillespie, Joe Williams, Sarah Vaughan, and Doc Severinsen. If you like big band music, this will be really rocking big band music. But that's not all that's going on Sunday. On Sunday, if you don't want to hear big band music, well, you can hear something more like East-West, Japanese American. which I'm just about to tell you, from a great group which has been live streaming for many years, so I really like them. Saturday, March 28th, Rocco Houston, Rocco Houston, the longtime live streaming music outfit, joins the global celebration of the 2025 World Expo in Osaka, Japan, with Beyond the Rising Sun, a cross-cultural evening honoring innovation, tradition, and international exchange between Japan and the United States, which is an old story. Featuring Roko musicians Kana Kimura on the violin, Maiko Sasaki on the clarinet, Shino Hayashi on the cello, and guest pianist Kana Mimaki. And that'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening in Houston, Texas, where they're located, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and 10 o'clock Saturday morning down under in Australia. The centerpiece of this performance will be a Roko commissioned quartet composed by Hiroaki Tokunaga. And it was inspired by the reflections of the Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata, who will be at the event as a guest speaker. And there's also going to be a Japanese fashion collection being held, but I don't know if that will be visible on the live stream. And they're having a Suntory Toki whiskey tasting too. So this is a real Japanese-American evening to enjoy. And hats off again to Roko Houston. They have been live streaming for years, and I just think that's commendable. We have one more live stream to tell you about that's been going on. If you're joining us on the live stream, do please say hello. And wherever the chat box is, if wherever you're following us has a chat box, we are on Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and Instagram live, and then we'll be recorded on a couple of our other platforms. There they are. Composer guitarist genre-busting Gene Pritzker of Composers Concordance teams up with composer synthesizer player Svetlana Bukvich to form a Bukvich-Pritzker duo and live stream their performance of works by Bukvich, Pritzker, and Milica Paranosik, with Bukvich on the synthesizer, Pritzker on his guitar, and Milica Paranosik voice, and Peter Christian Hall providing poetry and narration. That's at 8 o'clock in New York City time, Saturday, March 28th, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, 11 o'clock Sunday morning down under in Australia. Whatever Gene Pritzker and his people do is absolutely now music. These are now compositions you probably never heard before. Don't know if you'll ever hear them again. If you're into now music, this is your thing. Okay, then we're on to Sunday, and I think we may yet come in under 30 minutes, which is the time limit I give myself for these kinds of things, for these weekly roundup. There she is. This Sunday, March 29th, pianist Mayumi Sakamoto is back at St. Mary's Perryvale in what appears to be becoming an annual appearance there. She was there a year ago, playing Schumann, Liszt, Grieg, Bach, Busoni, and Tchaikovsky. Live stream free of charge by St. Mary's Perryvale as ever. 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, March 29th, 10 in Europe, 10 o'clock in New York City, and 7 o'clock in LA if you're an early riser, or if you aren't. It's Schumann, Liszt, Widmung, Grieg's Peer Gynt, Suite No. 1, Opus 46, and Bach, Busoni, Chacon, and then a piece from the Nutcracker, which is described in terms of its authorship as Tchaikovsky, Pletnev, and Sakamoto. So the pianist herself had a hand in how this is arranged. She's Japanese born. At 18, was already a semifinalist at the International Tchaikovsky Competition in Moscow, studied at Tokyo University of the Arts, then the Hanover Hochschule, won a slew of competitions in Japan, Germany, Cologne with the the Cologne Radio Philharmonic at the Grieg piano competition in Norway, which speaks well of the fact that she's playing Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite. In Italy, Leeds, Andorra at the Van Cliburn competition. She was a lecturer at Tokyo University of the Arts in the mid-teens, now lectures at Kyoto City University of Arts, and is, for some reason, a visiting researcher at the Graduate School of Medicine at Kyoto University as well. She has recorded Mozart's piano concertos with the Cologne Radio Philharmonic, and she has recorded Grieg's piano concerto with the Gothenburg Symphony Orchestra in Sweden. So this could be a good concert. And then for something completely different after that on Sunday, I mean, the variety is staggering this week. Ava Nazar, or Ava Nazar. Sunday, March 29th, Iranian pianist Ava Nazar presents Nahoft, a program of music by women composers from the Iranian diaspora, featuring works by Aso Kozadi, Nilufar Nurbakhsh, Nina Barzagar, and Yasaman Beybahani. Live streamed by Old First Concerts in San Francisco. That'll be at 4 in the afternoon, San Francisco time, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 1 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and 11 o'clock down under in Australia. Nahoft comes from a melodic motif in Iranian music. Ava Nazar, I could give you the names of the pieces, but I'm sure you won't recognize the pieces. I mean, I've given you the names of the composers, but the pieces, the whole point is to get you familiar with their music. Ava Nazar, she's Iranian American based in New York. She has an album out that was featured on PBS's Feminine Fusion. She co-founded a school called the Prelude Music Program in New York City. She has degrees from the Manhattan School of Music and Juilliard. And then she's performed at the United Nations, Merkin Hall, Chicago Symphony Center, Davies Symphony, Aspen Music Festival, etc. I think the interest here, though, is just the fascination of getting a chance to hear music from the Iranian diaspora. I have 2 more live streams to tell you about, so we are going to go over my usual 30-minute limit. But folks, when I have this many, I think that it's more than a dozen. It's like 15 or 16 this week. And if I'm going to bring them all in, well, I have to bring them all in. So let's go for it. Oh, I do. Well, yeah, I'll mention that other thing last. Sunday, March, yes, we're on to Monday. I need to give you early mention of a couple of things going on next Monday. Monday, March 30th, Wigmore Hall hosts and live streams the top Baroque ensemble, Diderto. They're playing a wide selection of pieces by Bach, Leclerc, Goldberg, Couperin, Vivaldi, Handel. The ensemble Diderto is composed of Johannes Pram-Soler, who's the artistic director on the violin, Roldan Bernabé on the violin, Gulrim Choui on the cello, and Philippe Grisvard on the harpsichord. So it's very much a period ensemble playing period pieces like Bach's Trio Sonata in C, BWV 529, Leclerc's Trio Sonata in D minor, Vivaldi's Trio Sonata in G, all trio sonatas by Handel, by Vivaldi, etc. Wigmore Hall, top of the line, and the top of the line ensemble playing for you. Then finally, there is one more pianist that I want to tell you about before we close for this week. also at St. Mary's Perryvale. Tuesday, March 31st, pianist Salome Jordania plays Liszt, Scriabin, Mussorgsky, and more in a St. Mary's Perryvale live stream. That's at their usual Tuesday time of 3 in the afternoon, European time, 9 in the morning on the East Coast, 6 in the morning on the West Coast, 1 a.m. down under in Australia. She'll be doing pieces like Liszt, Bénédiction de Dieu dans la solitude, the blessing of God in solitude. Scriabin's Sonata number 9, opus 68. Mussorgsky's Pictures at an Exhibition. That's a half-hour chunk of music and more. She's originally from Georgia. In 2025, she was named one of Georgia Forbes magazine's 30 under 30 in the arts and style category. But she has won over 30 international prizes, including what are the ones most? Well, the Chopin National Competition in Georgia, silver medal at the IKIF competition in New York, the sole winner of the New York Concert Artist Competition, which then gave her a debut recital with the Berlin Philharmonie in 2023. She's played at festivals like Piano au Jacobin in France, lots of places in France, Les Grands Interprètes, l'Esprit du Piano, Piano en Valois, the Festival de Musique de Menton, but also in Texas, in Tokyo, and in New York City. So a genuine rising star pianist playing very interesting, varied selection for you on Monday. Folks, that is just about all of what we have to tell you about this week in terms of chamber music live streams. I will mention one more before I go. If you're a Bach lover, okay, if you have a hankering to hear Bach's Mass in B minor, the Madison Bach musicians of Madison, Wisconsin, home of the University of Wisconsin, will be playing and live streaming Bach's B minor Mass this Sunday afternoon in Madison, Wisconsin, March 29th at 2:15 p.m. Madison time, 3:15 on the East Coast, 9:15 in the evening here in Europe. The artistic director of the Madison Bach musicians is Trevor Stevenson, who's a harpsichordist. The assistant director is Kang Wong Kim on the Baroque violin. Also playing will be James Waldo on the Baroque cello. That's soprano Sarah Braley, soprano Esteli Gomez, mezzo Clara Ozovsky, tenor Gene Stenger, bass David Newman, conducted by Andrew McGill. These are instrumental performers, many of whom specialize in period instruments in the Madison, Wisconsin area. It is one of the better universities, public universities in the United States. So I think they have talent to draw on in the area. And that, folks, is all we have that I can deliver for you in terms of chamber music and contemporary music live streams this week. I hope that one, more, some, or any of these live streams will uplift you, inspire you, or just show you a heck of a good time. And many of them, I suppose, could. With that, I will sign off. I will be back tomorrow at 6 or 7 in the evening European time, noon or 1 o'clock on the East Coast, noon or 10 or 11 in the morning on the West Coast, to finish this week's roundups with the roundup of big stage productions, meaning orchestral, opera, and ballet, anything that takes up the whole stage to perform on. Ciao for now, and thanks for tuning in.